Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to a very, very special episode of Chairboys Live, episode number 7. And as you will have been aware from our tweets and social media before this one, we have some very, very special guests, some ex-players. You've been asking for ex-players. And we've got some in our waiting room ready to join you in just a moment. I feel like as it's 3 o'clock, we need some news bulletins. There are some things I need to go through very quickly. Firstly, I want to wish Renna a very happy birthday for tomorrow. There's lots of love from Michelle. A lot of you all know Renna from the Away Coach Travel Bookings. A long, long time supporter of Wycombe Wanderers. Hope you have a lovely long birthday weekend, Renna. We have some tickets to give away for a comedy show, which is online on Saturday night. It's called Just the Tonic. And we've partnered with Ticket Co to give away some tickets for this. It's a virtual online comedy show, and the tickets are free. And all I'm going to ask, if you want them, email media@wwfc.com and just put yes, please as your subject line. And the first 10, I'll reply with the promo code, which gets you these free tickets. So it's got John Richardson and a bunch of other names. Supported by Ticket Co, the club's ticket partner. So email us if you're interested in those tickets. media@wwfc.com. Yes, please is all you need to put. I'll reply the details. First 10 will get those tickets. Very quickly, keep ordering your Wycombe Trump cards. They're from tonecoffeeshop.co.uk. Hope lots of you have already bought those Trump cards and are enjoying battling against other people in your household. The Wanderer wall is available for sale again. There's 282 more tiles available on the wall. So buy one for yourself, buy one for your loved ones. A fan that's passed away, a newborn baby, whoever it might be, get your name on the Wanderer wall. And face masks are selling like hotcakes from Wycombe Wanderers Trust. Visit our website for all the details, all the eBay links. 24 different designs I think you can get of face masks during this crazy period. So you can look very stylish and be safe at the same time. Some quick hellos to Charmaine, to Ollie Brady, Paul McLeod, Michael from Denmark, Paul, my dad is tuned in, Mark, Lee, Sue, Connor, I can't say hello to all of you. Adrian Meaden is in the building. Tracy Wyatt. Neil Summers is having to disappear. And Andy. Let's welcome in some guests, ladies and gentlemen. I have 4 very special guests waiting in our green room, if you will. 27-18 was an unbelievable season for Wycombe Wanderers. Not just celebrating promotion, but the way we did it, the style, some of those victories, some of those performances, the characters that we had in that changing room. Made it a very, very special club to be around. I know you felt it from the terraces and you're going to enjoy this episode. So, ladies and gents, please welcome into the room in no particular order, but put your hands together. Marcus Bean's here. Beanie, you okay?
What's going on, people? How you doing? Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. All the better for seeing you, Beanie. What a guy. We're gonna... ladies and gents, also welcoming into the room the skipper of 27-18, Mr. Adam El-Abd. Ads, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. How's it all going, guys?
We're all good, mate. So good to see you. We'll come back to you in just a second. This guy was almost an ever-present. He got robbed of it by about 10 minutes in the final game against Stevenage. But put your hands together. Mr. Scott Brown is in the building, ladies and gents. Brown, are you okay?
Hi, guys. How are we doing?
Fantastic to see you. And I believe he's overcome some technical difficulties to join us, but he's getting on a bit, so you have to forgive him. Mr. Nathan Tyson, ladies and gents, here we go. You okay, Tyson?
Oh, so busy. That is so busy.
What a guy.
Wow, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? Oh,
mate, the effort I've gone through here, mate. I thought you lot would have done something similar.
I was going to wear my "I was there when Bean was" t-shirt, but it's been bleached in the wash.
They lasted well for a week, didn't they? Then
some very excited fans to see you guys on the show. Here we go.
I've got to take this off. It's killing my neck.
Just going through the comments very quickly. A lot of excitement for Marcus Bean. No surprises about that. Look at that. Here we go. Gents, how is it all? Are you absolutely bored, sick of lockdown by now?
Nah, loving it.
Yeah. What have you been doing to keep yourself busy, Tyson? You've got a busy household, haven't you? Screaming children?
Yeah, I've only, I've just got a little one with us, really. Not had much chance to see the older 3 because obviously living with their mum and stuff. And little one's a bit high risk as well He's had issues when he was first born, but to be fair, he makes the days go really fast. So, just enjoy it and just take it easy. I've been out for runs, working out in the garden, everything. So just make time go by.
Fantastic stuff. Brownie, Beanie, you've been taking part in a lot of quizzes. I see the Nick Freeman quiz. How's that been?
Yeah,
nice to see the boys again.
The Nick Freeman Classics. Yeah, it's been great to see the boys. Nick's a great quiz master. I'm definitely championing him to have like his own Wickham quiz night. You should get it going because he's a quiz master, man.
Phil Catchpole's already owning the Wickham Wanderers quizzes at the moment. He's got a rival, you see.
He's got a rival, man. He's got a rival. I've been to be honest, it's not been too bad for me. I can understand how it's really difficult times for people, but I've been super busy. A couple of people I consult with, I've been doing work with them. And then, as Ty said, getting out and doing a lot of fitness. I hadn't done anything prior to the lockdown, so I had a bit of a gut, and I've worked it off. I've been doing 5K runs. I've worked it off.
Skip, I think you're back in the building. Can you hear us? I think Ads might be the Jason McCarthy of this episode. We had Jason the other day, but he basically popped in and out for about an hour, struggling against the Wi-Fi. We'll get to you, Skip. And Brownie, you've been busy, haven't you? Obviously, with the PFA rep at Port Vale, lots of conversations going on, lots of chat, lots of keeping yourself fit. Must be a busy time and a busy household for you as well.
Yeah, it's just homeschooling's been a massive problem because, like me, he just doesn't want to listen to his teacher sort of thing, just wants to do his own thing all the time. So that's been hard, but it's just like I say, it's just a difficult time for everyone, but especially like the lads out of contract and that. It's been a lot of going and forwards back to the PFA and different meetings and things like that. So, but yeah, homeschooling's been a major issue and not one that I'll be taking up in the future.
But obviously, we've got you all together today. I'm going to try and get the Skip back. Let's see. Skip, any joy? Not yet. We'll keep going. We'll keep trying. He's speaking more sense than he's. I think he's been a couple of years at the club, eh? I know 2017-18 holds so many fond memories for you. I mean, you guys have played hundreds and hundreds of games in your careers and won different competitions and played at Wembley and all sorts of things. But I mean, what a year that was to reflect back on the camaraderie and what we achieved as a club against the odds.
Yeah, I think it was a special time. I think I'm guessing other guys who all had success and success is built on having a great team spirit and having a great dressing room and credit to the gaffer. That's what he built, and we had some really good people in that dressing room, and not many, well, if any, fallings out, which is unusual at a football club.
Brownie,
I remember coming back first week in pre-season. There was about, I don't know if you remember it, I don't think you'd signed at that point. There was about 12 people there, for the first 2 days of pre-season. Everyone was looking around thinking, geez, it's going to be a long season. Waits is going to get a game. The gaffer's going to get a game and everything like that. But the gaffer was patient and he waited, and he got, as long as you got good characters in the building, you've always got a chance.
Ty, I remember I came with you to your medical that you had to take part in just before you joined at Wickham. And I remember you were sort of saying, your options at that time in your career weren't looking too healthy. Obviously it was great to be back at Wickham and on trial. Little did we know, sitting in that waiting room at the BMI Chiltern Hospital, that a year later you'd be sat there, and now with a promotion medal around your neck, having had one of the most enjoyable years of your career.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity, to be fair, to come back. It was a bit, at first I was a bit like, is this the right thing to do? But, seeing the gaffer and then meeting the lads, like Beanie, Brownie, Blooms, Skip came later on, but it was just like it just made sense. Everything just fell into place, and like Beanie said, the changing room was just absolutely phenomenal, and that got us through games. The togetherness, and I still, I think that's a blueprint really for what success should be at a football club. You have that dressing room; it's perfect, and coming back, it was it was special. It was really, really special.
It seems quite appropriate because our next guest who's joining us, it wasn't lined up on the schedule, but we have a special guest, and he did actually join us slightly into the season as well. So it's quite apt that we should welcome into the room Craig McHale-Smith, everyone.
Oh, Macca.
How are you doing?
What a guy.
How you doing?
CMS.
I didn't feel we had enough like legendary veterans
How you
in the
doing,
building,
mate?
so I thought we'd get one more. I'm going to try the skip as well. Let's see if we can complete the set. Ads, can you hear us?
Absolutely.
Skip's enough to header a ball somewhere.
Craig, how you doing, mate?
I'm all right. Just relaxing, trying to keep the kids entertained, which is the hardest part at the moment. They're having lots of meltdowns, so I'm entertained.
Who's that? Someone's got a phone ringing, have they? Boys, I was gonna take you back to.
What is that? Oh,
I don't know what it is. We'll try and gloss over that.
What is that?
Graham Ashley Macker.
I was going to take you boys back to RAF Digby. Do you remember the training camp we went on to that summer? I think Tice, it was obviously not after you joined. How was that to get you sharpened for the season? Some of the drills and things, the climbing, the team building skills you had to take part in at that point. Tice, you look like you loved it.
I don't even know what to. Say again, I can't hear you. No, my volume's gone here.
Can everyone else hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
I can't hear
cool.
Tice when Tice is talking.
Yeah, it's backing up on me.
All right, hang on, we've lost the skip again. If you can't hear it, dial out and dial back in again, and it should all work again. But yeah, I mean, look, when you were at RAF Digby,
I'll try it now.
All right, mate. When you were looking ahead to the start of the season and at Digby, what were the expectations? Because I know, Beanie, you'd been close to retiring, hadn't you, at the end of the previous season? But you obviously felt that we had a chance that year.
Yeah, I felt that we definitely had a chance. Spoke to the gaffer, and he's infectious, and he kind of told me what the plans were, and I knew that if we got the right people through the door, I thought we'd have a really good crack at it. And Digby was tough because it's meant to be his pre-season, and you're on an army base, but again, it's one of the management's master strokes that they put on. It was such a diverse, loads of different things we were doing, whether it was rock climbing, it was, team building, there was different exercises, and they all just brought us really close together. I thought it was a great trip.
There you go. We're going to welcome Tice back into the room. I mean, I want to reflect on the start of the season. That first month was absolute bonkers. Do you remember that some of the games we had, 2-2 against Lincoln, 3-2 at Port Vale, lost 4-2 at home to Notts. And it's a shame Skip's not here because we had that comedy own goal. 3-2 at Grimsby. We had Bayo knocking Luke out with the Mayweather punch. It was just, it sort of set the tone for the season, didn't it? Because we had so many high-scoring games that season, and it was sort of free-flowing and end-to-end football. It was kind of hard to keep track of, wasn't it, early on?
Macca?
Matt, you joined just before the Notts County game, didn't you?
I've lost volume. 1 sec.
What do the rest of you remember about the start of that season and the goals going in at both ends?
Might be worth speaking to Brownie about that. He's letting a few in.
But it was your brand new goalkeeper kit, wasn't it, Brownie? It was the magic one.
Yeah,
that was going to,
I remember the first time we changed to the pink one, we kept a clean sheet. Baz was absolutely raging. Yeah, no, it was crazy. I just think we just knew that, we just felt we could outscore any team. It was weird when we went, say, 1-0 down or 2-0 down. We just thought it doesn't matter because we can outscore any team, and it proved that way throughout the season. But I think when we look back towards the end of the season, when we went to your Notts Counties, your Lincolns, and places like that where we needed to be solid and compact and keep clean sheets, we did that. And I think we kept 8 or 9 clean sheets or something like that after Christmas, and it was only probably 3 or 4 before Christmas. So when we really needed to tighten up and be solid, we did that.
Yeah.
I think a real catalyst in the season was when we got into September and that game against Luton at home. I sort of don't want to bring it up, but I do because it felt like a turning point. We were 1-0 up. Brownie, you saved a penalty from diving Danny Hilton, and it just felt like we were finally going to get that home win against Luton, and it all went wrong in stoppage time. But I think the team sort of turned the pain from that defeat into something positive because we went on a great run after that.
Yeah, I remember the celebration from the manager. Sorry, my mind's gone blank now. Luton manager.
Nathan Jones.
Nathan Jones, and the way it was fist pumping, and And I think that kind of that did wind us up. I remember going back in the dressing room and everyone was like, what does he think he's doing, kind of thing. That on top of Danny Hilton's antics, I think kind of galvanised us. And I think from that point on, as you said, we kicked on.
And Tice, you got your first goal at Colchester as well the following week, which was a huge. Brownie's made some great saves. I remember, particularly in the first half. You've got your goal. C-Mac scored as well, and that got us going.
That was a tough game. That was from what I can remember. It was a tough game. I thought Colchester were very, very good that day, and they took us all away. But it was obviously it's fantastic to get the goal, but it was most important getting the win. Like you said, with the whole Luton incident as well. Like that was poor. That was from them. But I remember being in the tunnel trying to hold Bayo back, and the guy hurt my finger. Never trying to do that again. I thought, no, I'm going to leave him to it there. So, but like
Nathan
so
Jones just got smaller and smaller, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, he did absolutely crap. And Hilton as well. Like I've spoken to one or two Luton lads who were there with Hilton, and they weren't having him. They're almost like saying, "Oh, we would have loved Bayo to absolutely smash him into." Apparently, he was a bit naughty in the change room, but yeah, it was interesting. Like I said, he did get smaller. Both of them did. But, but it was things like that just got us all together, just made us even more solid. And like you said, the results just they started to come together as soon as Brownie stopped chucking them all in.
Good when we signed some defenders, wasn't it? Really good when we signed some defenders.
Skip's not here. Skip's not here to take the blame. He's his problem.
He's rubbing his oil in.
He's not Brighton beat, did he? What's he playing at?
Is he back in Egypt or what?
He's in Egypt.
I'm going to try and get the Skip back in. C-Mac, can you hear us again?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Top man, well done. We've just got on to actually the time of your first goal for the club as well. It's the same day as Tyson's at Colchester, which sort of came off the back of that defeat against Luton. And we it looked like we were just going to lose momentum because remember the next game at home to Crewe, 2-1 down on 88 minutes and thinking, for all the good that we've done at Colchester, we were going to lose at home to Crewe. And then another I think you scored that night as well, I think, Craig?
Yeah, I shinned one in from about a yard, I think it was.
Doesn't sound like you, mate. But, we had so many great games at Adams Park that season. That was one of them. And Tice, you had a bit of a battle with the right back that night and got the better of him in the end.
Yeah, it was tough. It was a tough game.
Yeah.
Can we hear Macca?
Yeah. No, sorry. I thought you were talking to you. Yeah, no, I think, as you say, we didn't have the greatest of starts to the season. But I think obviously beating Colchester and then beating Crewe at home probably started to give us a bit of momentum. And it was kind of a prelude to what we were going to do throughout the season. We were very good at kind of being behind and coming back and winning. And I think that was like an early start to the season to show that we can actually do that and put some form of run together.
I think as well, it was around that time and a couple of weeks later at Cambridge where a young guy, Eberici Eze, really came to the fore. And I think, Beanie, you need the credit for getting Ebbs to Wickham because it was one of your tip-offs, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was at around 23 games watching QPR. I think they're playing Hull. And I think Ebere scored a hat-trick in that game. And I went back to the gaffer and obviously he's got very good links with QPR. I said to him, listen, this kid's special. He can come in and, he can... do something that we've got something that we didn't have in the building at the time. So, yeah, he was a great signing. I'm sure the boys will tell you about his talents.
Yeah, boys, you're up
front. You got your 10% as well, Beanie.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for that.
Him.
I'm still waiting for that check.
I was going to fast forward a little bit to Carlisle away, which was another special night. And actually, Brownie, you got a semi-assist. Remember the last-minute goal? You've come up in the box and caused carnage. They're trying to.
I thought you were going to say I got a semi on then.
Well, I think we all did when the goal went in.
Shock you put that on your mind. Shock you put that on your mind.
Yeah, that was another. I think the lad got done, didn't he, when Scarsy brought him down for diving? I think he was the first one. That got done, and I think we were 2-1 down, going in. Sean scored a free kick right on half time to make it 2-1. And then second half, we just felt we'd get back into it. Because like I said, we always felt we'd score, and going up there, it's always a tricky place to go. We'd gone up the day before, it's a long day, but we prepared right and got the rewards in the last minute.
Absolutely. Tice, welcome back, mate. Good to see you again. You there? Can you hear us? Yeah.
Seriously, it's so bad. My connection's so bad. Yeah, I can hear you.
It's just the audio's a bit shaky.
That's it.
Yeah,
I can hear Macca now.
Cool. I think when we go down the fixture list, I see the next one that stands out for me, Macca, Crawley at home. Another one where sort of Ebbs came to the fore and sort of made the breakthrough, but a special occasion for you, scoring a hat-trick at Adams Park, all in front of the terrace.
Yeah, it was a good day, that one, for me and the team, and I think it kind of showed that we stayed into it in the game. I think we were very resilient throughout the season, and obviously you say that Ebbs was pulling the strings for us, kind of in the games he was involved in. Said we stayed in the game well in that game, and it was nice for me to kind of not only get on a score sheet but to score a hat trick. But it was never really like to the aim to score loads of goals on my own. It's just kind of like we all wanted to score for each other. We all wanted to do well for each other. So just on that day, it was good for me to get a hat trick. But the most important thing was the 3 points, just keeping the momentum that we were building.
And I think by the time we got to Christmas, sort of the halfway point of the season, you boys knew we were right amongst us, weren't we? I think we'd just hit some really good home form. We'd beaten, I think, Leatherhead in the Cup. We beat Newport. Brownie, you nearly scored at Stevenage as well. You had that one taken off you rather harshly, don't you think?
Yeah, that was a good day, a good weekend. That was the Christmas do weekend, so that was I remember that well. Great weekend.
What do you remember about the Christmas do?
You do.
No, good weekend. No, great weekend. even the kit man made an appearance and drank about 10 bottles of cider before we left the hotel.
And I think over Christmas, we had a couple of setbacks. Lost at Coventry just before Christmas, lost at home to Mansfield just after Christmas. And then we enter absolutely crazy but successful period in January. Standout games, beating Colchester at home, winner at Luton, the game at Crewe as well. Tyson Seamat also scoring. And Crewe as well. Brownie, do you remember your role in the winner straight after their equaliser? And you just seemed angry more than anything. You booted the ball as hard as you can.
I think I chucked one in, though, to be fair, for the equaliser.
Oh, you put it politely. I was going to touch on that, but yeah, I've let you say that, yeah.
Yeah, no, and then to be fair, they had a few good chances just after. I think they had a goal. They had a couple of good chances to make it 3-2, and I just managed to connect with it, and it flew. And obviously, Macca scored another scruffy goal to add to the list.
And I think around this time as well, I was speaking to Luke O'Nine the other day. He really wanted to join this call, actually, but he's been kind of denied doing so by Sunderland, which is fair enough, their prerogative. But I know he was a pain in the backside a lot of the time. But I remember around January, he had a great game against Colchester where he marked Smodic out of the game, Luton away as well. It was a pain, wasn't he? But he was a great person to have around the club and scored a few vital goals as well.
Yeah, I think Luke's an infectious character, isn't he? I think he rubs off on everybody. He's so positive. I think his mental strength is something that I really hold him in high regard for, on top of the fact that he works hard, and that's what rubs off on everybody. So he was a great addition to the squad, I thought. And as you said, he's a nuisance. And if you put him on the player man for man, you know, I remember Sammy Smodic was like, "What the hell's going on here?" He couldn't get his head around how he's going to deal with Luke on the day.
I want to go forward to Luton away. Brownie, do you remember I think it was the night before Luton away, you had to do a piece on the radio for Three Counties Radio. And I said to you, whatever you do, don't talk about budgets, okay? Because it really, really winds up Luton fans.
No, you said mention budgets as much as you can because it'll wind them all up, and it's not a Wickham station. So you can get the blame for that one.
I don't think I could endorse that sort of behaviour. I think I counted 24 mentions of budgets on the radio. It felt like you were trying to get us all in trouble, but we went there, and what a night had by all in a Wycombe Wanderers shirt that night. Everything came together, didn't it?
Yeah, that was. I think for me personally, that was the night where I thought, do you know what, we can like either win the league or we can be top three. I really thought when we went there and beat our supposedly whatever the best team with the biggest budget in the league. They keep telling everyone they're the best team, but they finished second. So I don't know how that works, but yeah, it was a great night for everyone. And Tice scored a couple of great goals, and to go there, it's a really good atmosphere.
Thanks,
there.
mate.
To go 3 points, it was brilliant.
Yeah, Tice, talk us through that night. I mean, we sort of started great, didn't we? Paris got the goal early on, went 2-0 up with your, 1 yard shinner, I think it was. And every time Luton came back at us, Brownie was in the right place, and probably the assist of the season from Dominic Gape.
No, look, listen to me. It wasn't a shinner, right? It come off my big toe. Deflected in. Goal's a goal. It was a great performance from all of us. Like Brownie said, I thought after that, going back into that change room was like, it was buzzing, especially to do 1 over on them the way that they treated us when we first played them, and to go to their place and take the 3 points in the way that we did was fantastic. Like, obviously Brownie made a great save at the end as well. Gape's pass was fantastic outside of the boot, played me in. It was just nice. It was nice if he could do that every game, but every game that I was fit for anyway. But it was. But to be fair, like the lads dug in deep, and that for me, that game just showed, especially like the Carlisle game, Crew game as well. Like, we were coming back scoring late goals, and it just showed that we had that character to get us through games. And it was an all round great performance. Obviously, if Brownie could have kept one out, that would have been great. So I'm coming for Brownie here. But no, look, it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
I was just going to flash up this message because Kyle's been in touch a few times in the comments, so we just want to wish a big happy birthday to his granddad, Sean. Thank you, Kyle, for watching. And Sean, happy birthday, mate. Hope you've had a good one.
Happy birthday,
Kyle.
There you go.
Thanks, Granddad.
The next game after Luton, and we'd had Crewe, and we'd had the Colchester game and Forest Green. We're on a great run, but you'd think drama couldn't get any sort of more intense than it was. Carlisle at home, 2-0 up and cruising at half time. Do you remember that first half? Blooms and Luke scored, and I suppose at half time you're thinking normal order resumed, like we're just going to win this one 3-0, 3-1, or whatever the norm was. Nobody had an idea of what was to come.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, that was one of the easiest 45 minutes we'd had all season. But I think their manager dragged one of their strikers off just before half time or at half time and made a couple of changes. And to be fair to them, second half they came out and it was a different game.
Well, Luke made one of the saves of the season, I think, on the goal line, and obviously he got his red card. We did later appeal it, but we weren't successful. And before long, I think JJ had a penalty saved as well. So it just all of a sudden felt that our luck was out. And before you know it, we're 3-2 down. And that would have crushed the boys, wouldn't it? Don't you think? After such a great January at home to Carlisle, who were mid-table, it would have sort of killed our momentum a bit.
Yeah, I definitely think that that was I wouldn't say a turning point, but a catalyst for the what came after. I think, yeah, just what we've done to come back from such adversity in one game and so many setbacks to then come back and win the game was something special. And I think it's again that you don't do that if you don't have a good dressing room and if everyone isn't on side and if everyone hasn't got each other's backs. And it's credit again to all the boys.
Obviously, yeah, we got the equaliser, a great cross from Craig, and Paris has headed it. And I think at that point, with 10 men, you're sort of pleased to take a point. But do you remember the free kick we won for the winning goal? Like, every time I look back at it, I think how soft it was. Bayo never used to win those free kicks.
No.
But one in 100, the referee spotted it, giving it to us. And what do you remember about it all, Beanie?
Oh, mate, I just remember like it's gone in, it's been popped back out, and I just thought to myself, you know what, like if this goes into row Z, then we kill a bit of time, We get a point, and if I hit it cleanly, it goes in the goal, and I become, like, get a bit of hero status. I thought, just have a go. I literally just had a go. I just thought to myself, just try and hit the target first and foremost. Anything can happen, and yeah, it ended up going in, and then the rest is kind of history, you could say, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, I think your celebration, you actually outpaced anything that Tice has ever achieved. I think the speed you went in front of the Frank Adams stand, and it was all in vain because the people you wanted to celebrate with were halfway down Hill Bottom Road, weren't they?
Yeah, mum and dad had shot off early. That's what I was running after. I don't know if it was if I was quick or the boys were just tired. It was a long game with 10 men, so I'm probably going to go with the boys were tired because I'm not quick. But yeah, I just remembered running down there, hoping to see my mum and dad, and they weren't there, which I was disappointed about. So I gave them some stick when I got in the change room on the phone.
Tice, Brownie, what do you remember about that? Those scenes at the end there were incredible, weren't they?
Yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal. Like just the way that for anyone to score, was, to get that goal, Beanie, it was incredible, mate. Just seeing him run down that line, I'll never ever forget it. So it's definitely one of the best moments of the season. Seeing him get that goal, and then it was just the celebrations and that just summed it right up, and like, we just had Luton as well, and then going into that game, like, he's just a character again. We're never down. We're never, it was just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal feeling.
Yeah, well.
Brownie?
Yeah, like I saw the clip the other day on the Wickham's Twitter of Beanie scoring again, and you just see everyone trying to chase after him, and no one can keep up with him. Especially like you can see my bright yellow kit trying to run after him. I look like the slowest goalie you've ever seen. No, it was just a great day, and rounded off a great week.
Yeah, it did.
And obviously we went from there. We had all the T-shirts made. I was there when Beanie scored. We thought it would be a collector's item, the only one that you might ever score for Wycombe. Did it all again the next week at Exeter. And then another game that goes under the radar just because we had so many good ones, but Swindon at home, 3-2, another last-minute winner from Bayo. Brownie, I can't believe you didn't keep that free kick out, mate, from Matty Taylor. 45 yards, wasn't it?
That's the best goal I've ever conceded.
That was unbelievable. Right, that, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, I've played against him a couple of times since, and every time he gets the ball, I start thinking, please don't shoot. Please don't shoot. I'm glad when he retired.
I think after that we went to Cheltenham. We got a very solid 2-0 win. That was, I think, 7 wins out of 8 games or something like that. And then do you remember that was the scheduled break? So the week off that the gaffer has given every week in the season, a chance for the boys to just switch off, stay away from training, go on the holidays. And remember the first game back after that?
Yeah.
Was it
Morecambe?
Morecambe. Yeah.
Wow.
4-0 down after 50 minutes. What happened? Everyone had a good holiday?
I didn't start, so I ain't saying nothing.
No, I've got to be honest. I probably shouldn't have played that game. We were doing shooting at the end on Friday, and I got one, and it caught me in the top of the eye. Didn't think too much of it, but the next morning I saw the doc after the game, and he said I had something wrong with my vision, which probably could tell most weeks, but Sunday morning I was at the eye hospital getting it all sorted and everything, and luckily put something in there which made it better up by the Monday afternoon, and was able to play again Tuesday.
Yeah, well, I remember we started very slow that day, didn't we?
Yeah.
Craig, you've joined us at a great time again, mate. We're talking about a 4-2 defeat at home to Morecambe when, after such a great January and February, things have taken a bit of a downturn.
Yeah, we had a wonderful week off. Worked hard, and then we came back in, and we I don't think we started very well, but I still think it probably helped. I think it was a good mental break, because I think straight after that we came back and we lost to Morecambe and then performed well after that. I wouldn't have expected too much less. I think if we'd have come out and flying, then I would have been surprised, because I think obviously we took a week. I think we needed to recharge our batteries. I think we took the loss well. We knew why it happened. There was no investigation of what went on. We knew what happened, and then we put it to the side and we moved on, and we got our heads back down and kind of put our foot down and went again.
I think we're unlucky. The game after that was probably the coldest football match of all time. Coventry at home, absolute 0-0 all over it. But they had the late penalty, and then against Cambridge, I think the next home game after that, 1-0 up. They pegged us back in the last minute, and all of a sudden, although performances have been all right, that's 1 point from 3 games. Do you remember any sort of doubts creeping in around that time?
No, there was never. I don't think there was any doubts. I think we always believed that we were gonna get promoted. That's how I felt. I never worried about the results. I think we believed that we had enough to do it. I think it was just obviously getting the 3 points and getting the points ticked off and putting ourselves in a position kind of come the last few weeks of the season to get promoted.
I think after Coventry, we only lost one more game all that season, and I think from my perspective, the performances sort of changed a little bit, and we had a resilience about us where we weren't sort of free flowing. I think we were a bit tighter at the back. Do you remember the 2-0 win at Barnet? We had the 3-2 win at Crawley as well. But I think, as Craig said, sort of keeping level heads in those last 2 months of the season really got us through and saw us through to the end goal. Do you feel that way?
I think like when we had the big games away at Notts County and away at Lincoln, the gaffer would sort of have 2 different teams. So he'd play an experienced one going into those big games. So I think it was always Macca. I think Beanie always played. Tice always played like either side of Bale, going into those experienced games because we knew how to handle the atmosphere and how to deal with everything. That they were quite direct, a bit like ourselves, both sides, and we went there and got 2 really solid points. Where if we didn't pick them up, then Notts County could have perhaps overtaken us, and Lincoln were on a really good run at the time as well. So I think going there and being solid and difficult to beat made those points were massive for us at the end of the season.
I remember the Lincoln game was really notable because I think 9 of the starting 11 were all over the age of 30. And I know you boys used to get a lot of stick for being like Dad's army, but you sort of never seemed to fear any game, did you? All the years of experience and that togetherness, saw us out. And like I say, we kind of fondly remember that year for being the year that Dad's army got us over the line. It was an enjoyable spirit to be part of, I thought.
Yeah, definitely. I remember.
I think
No, go on, mate. Go on.
Beanie.
And I remember that Lincoln game being really.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
One of you, Beanie, you go first.
I'll go. I remember that Lincoln game being a really tough game. Obviously, they were chasing us, trying to chase us down. Again, I think a bit of arrogance from them, thinking that they were, better than they potentially were, and we had a really experienced side. And I think what was experienced allowed you to, take whatever's thrown at you. And I thought we took a lot of pressure that day, but we fought it out and battled it out. That's a good point. Go on, Tice, mate.
No, you took the words out of my mouth, mate.
I was going to say, one thing about that Lincoln night that stands out for me was Bayo coming off, because he'd pretty much played every game. I think he was on 18 goals so far that season. And I remember him coming off injured in the first half. And although we got the point, it looked like he wasn't going to play again that season. I mean, what a character he was to have around the place. Those 18 goals are obviously huge. But his presence, throughout the whole club seemed to sort of sum up the whole spirit, didn't it? One of you?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah, I think it galvanised us. Like, obviously, B is a talisman. He is an unbelievable asset to have in the squad, and he's a fantastic leader of the team in and out of the dressing room. And obviously, for him to get injured, I think we kind of obviously you don't want that to happen to someone who's so vital to the team. But I think it galvanised us to keep pushing forward. Like we didn't want to let each other down, and we didn't want to let him down. So I think that obviously he's a big player to miss, but I still think that we as players we just looked at each other and said, right, we've just got to get on with the job.
Yeah, I think the boys stepped up, in his absence, which was the likes of Tyson, the likes of Macca, the attacking players. They stepped up to the mantle because they realised that. Yeah, we need to do that not just for ourselves, but for him, who's been instrumental in getting us to that point.
Well, you say you all stepped up, but do you remember the next game, Accrington at home? So Accrington, I think, had won the title on the Tuesday night, and I think they stepped straight out of the pub onto the football pitch that Saturday. They'd had a proper party, but there was something about that Accrington team, wasn't there, that season? Because they turned up and somehow smashed us 4-0, which would have been a catastrophe. But I think Exeter dropped points that day as well. So despite that, we were still in the automatic promotion places. But what happened that day against Accrington? Do you remember?
I think because Bale wasn't playing, that was the first game we'd played. We hadn't really worked on anything. And we all of a sudden started trying to play football that we hadn't done all season. And I just remember the gaffer getting us in on Monday morning, just saying, "Look, we're not changing the way we play. We still play the same, regardless of if Bale's here or not." And I think Accrington, we just tried to play too much football instead of doing exactly what got us into the same place where we were before.
Yeah. On top of that, they're a good team as well. For me, I thought they were the best team as well in the league. So yeah, I agree 100% with Brownie says. It's a combination of the two things, I think. And fair play to them, they beat us comfortably on the day.
Next up, Chesterfield away. I think they were already relegated at this point, but we go in there knowing that our fate's in our own hands. Nobody really, I don't think, expected it to be done that day because it needed results elsewhere. And going 1-0 down as well, the Harriman own goal. Did it have any sort of jitters about? Were you aware of scores elsewhere, or just focusing on that game?
We just focus on that game. It was solely in our hands. You know, to be fair, we weren't really worried about what Exeter were going to do and stuff. We just focused on getting that win. And I think a lot of us will put our hands up and say, right, it's going to go to the last game of the season. We're pretty much sure that was going to happen. But, you know, the way that game panned out and Exeter dropping points, it just opened it up for us, and it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect experience. I mean, especially for Gapey as well, getting the win. It was absolutely phenomenal on this front, and a player that's been solid all through the season.
Yeah, there's some scares late on. Brownie, do you remember? I think they've hit the bar, and you've tipped one over as well. It was certainly nervy for me watching it, but the boys kept their cool and saw it through.
I've got to say, literally last second of the game, they had a corner and they whipped it right in. And Tice isn't usually the bravest, and he stuck his head in.
You're an idiot.
And he got a great header on it away, and then the lads had the shot that just went over from the edge of the box.
I remember that
goal kick, and then that was it. But things like that are the ones that get you promoted, where people putting their head in, and people forget about little things like that, but they're the things that get you promoted.
And then the celebrations. I mean, as I said, you boys have achieved lots in your careers and had it at various different clubs. What did it mean celebrating on the pitch at Chesterfield as a group, knowing that you'd finally done it?
It was an amazing feeling. I think, like, from the beginning of the season, I think we were nowhere near kind of getting promoted. I think people look at the age of the squad, look at maybe some of the young players that are in the squad, like the budget of the club. I think we were looked at as just a few players kind of just retiring basically, and the club just hoping to stay in the division. But I think coming together, for me, when I joined, it was like, we've got so much experience, so much ability in this team. Then I'd be disappointed if we weren't challenging to get promoted. So to finish, to have the final whistle go away at Chesterfield, it was just basically sticking a middle finger up to everyone and saying, like, we've done it. This is what we've done. Like, you all doubted us, and we knew we could achieve something. So it was a lot of emotion that came from that. Yeah,
for me personally, it was like to do on top of what Mac has said, is just the fact that we didn't get promoted at Wembley, and just to say we've completed it now, and we've actually got out of the league. Felt good. It was that was one of the worst days, I'd say, in my career, to say, when you lose at Wembley in a playoff final, but then to go up with a lot of the same boys a few years later was brilliant.
Brownie, Tice, do you remember the celebrations that night? I can't remember. Was it a big night out somewhere? I can't remember now. It was all
Tice wouldn't know, Brownie. Tice wouldn't know because he went home.
Yeah, I wasn't there, mate. Family called, mate.
Get back home.
Family
now.
called.
What did we do? I can't remember.
I found it.
We went into Marlow.
I know exactly what
Yeah,
Brownie.
we went Marlow.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Well, we had a party back at the club. I remember it because the ex-players were having their quiz do there, and understandably they didn't want to finish early. So we were like, you boys were held in the boardroom, the fans were in the honours lounge and the Monty's bar, and we're waiting for this quiz to wrap up. And I think as soon as the last thank you was done, we all poured in. All the boys came up on stage. A few of the boys were a little worse for wear. It's a shame Skip's not here, but I don't think he could remember anything from that night. But it was brilliant for us. And then on to Stevenage as well. Like for me, just a perfect day of relaxation of knowing that we'd already done it, but to go out, with a win. Beautiful day. Sold out Adams Park. Just sort of capped it off perfectly, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Certainly did.
Yeah.
The way like Bloom's getting the goal as well just summed up the whole season, and it's fantastic. Like seeing all the fans there. It been with us all through the season and supporting us and that, and Bloom's getting the goal, and it was a great performance. It's so nice to finish off a season like that and enjoy it instead of being like that could have been the game that we. The cup final game that we needed to get promoted. But, it was celebrating. It was all party mode and it was fantastic. Great experience.
And Brownie, I remember you had a pretty strong suspicion at the time that Stevenage game was going to be your last as well. I know that, you sort of were planning a move that summer and for you to go out with a clean sheet and get that ovation before Big Eves came on. It must have been a nice way to bow out.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Just a great day all around, and like I say, it was fantastic to have everyone's family there and friends, and they could plan it knowing that there was going to be a celebration after and a party instead of being all nervous and anxious and everything. I remember like after the Accrington game, we got pizza. Like my missus dropped it all over the floor, and I was absolutely raging with her because we'd lost. And like I remember it, like all the garlic mayo going everywhere. I was absolutely raging, and then to go from literally that to Chesterfield the week after, and then Stevenage was brilliant. But she ain't been allowed pizza since. So.
And obviously, from a club perspective, I'm thinking about the gaffer here as well, who obviously, as you said, Beanie, had gone through the sort of the heartbreak of Wembley and then trying to sort of shape the squad so that it was ready to get there in the end. It was so pleasing that he, as one of the longest serving managers at the time, he's now the longest serving manager, was able to complete that with his club because he built such a great squad of talent and personalities.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's laid the foundations for where the club is now, which is again exceeding expectations again, and it's unbelievable what the gaffer's achieved, and not just the gaffer, the fans, and the club to get to the level they are now in League Two, which is a strong league. Sorry, League One. Sorry, it's a strong league. It's amazing. I think the foundations were built a few years beforehand, and credit to the gaffer, a special manager and a special person. Yeah. So fair play to him.
Yeah.
You don't have to be nice to him, Tyson Brownie. He's not your gaffer anymore, but you must have enjoyed playing under him, and that team was so special.
Yeah, it did. Like I thought the gaffer was absolutely fantastic. I can only speak personally in the way that he treated me. He looked after me well. My management was spot on, and Dobbo was priceless. To be fair, his attention to details was set pieces and free kicks and that. I mean, literally that alone literally got us most of our goals throughout the season. So his sacrificing in making sure that we're prepared right for every single game was spot on, and the gaffer was like I said, he built the dressing room together, and like Beanie's just said then, it's a blueprint for Wycombe Wanderers, the way that it's that dressing room, and the way that the style of play, and he's made it his own club, and props to him. I sing nothing but his praises in every interview that I do because he's one of the top managers I've played under.
Yeah, just definitely. I think as well, like I said, the gaffer is the front of it all, but you've also got to look at the backroom team that he had. He had Dobbo, who was brilliant, and Baz Richardson as well. It was fantastic, and he brought me to the club, and I've got a lot to thank him for, because he's a really great guy and a fantastic coach as well. And Waitsy as well was brilliant. He'd be keeping the lads fit, keeping them ticking over. When was right to do more, when was right to rest, and things like that. So it's not just the gaffer, but everyone there was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And boys, obviously, the fact that you're all on this call means.
I think he was very clever. Sorry.
Carry on, mate. Sorry.
I think he was very clever with having the generals. I think instead of kind of dictating himself to the team, he had 3 or 4 players that he could speak to, who could then dictate his message to the dressing room. And obviously, they were players of experience, the younger players, to introduce them to it. So he was never really him kind of telling the squad what they should be doing. It was always like player to player, so it was a little less like kind of harsh if it comes from a manager. Sometimes you kind of you not ignore it, but you just take it with a pinch of salt, whether it's coming from one of the experienced boys, and they're telling you something like as a squad and how the dressing room was. It was like if someone said something to you, you were going to do it. So I think he was just very clever in employing that tactic that kind of it allowed the dressing room to marshal itself.
There's a nice question here, actually. I know you're all going to say each other, but it was such a special dressing room. I mean, do you boys still keep in touch with a lot of that team?
Yeah.
Yeah, try to. It's like we try and keep in touch and talk to each other.
We actually played Stevenage a few weeks ago. Well, a couple of times, and Maka was playing, and I just kept thinking that he was going to shin one past me. Every single time, I just thought there's going to be an ugly goal coming here. There's going to be an ugly goal. And fortunately for me anyway, it didn't come.
Can't hear nothing.
Yeah, no.
No.
Again, like the guys, I try and keep in touch with as many players as possible. I don't think I spoke to you boys for a while though, have I? No.
No, I think it's just like now and then, isn't it? It's like we'll always it'll always be you get in contact with each other, and all of a sudden, it's just like you were together in the dressing room again. I think that's just how football is. It's you don't keep in touch constantly. It's just the fact of everyone's life takes different directions, and everyone gets busy, and then all of a sudden, a situation will bring you back together, and it'll just be like you're in a dressing room with each other. So there's not a point where we constantly text each other backwards and forwards, but I might see Beanie on Instagram. Or see something, might message him, and then it would just bring a conversation up, and then it might be another 2 or 3 months down the line, and as I said, I'll bump into Brownie playing. So there's never a point where we'll constantly text, but it's a familiarity of and it's an achievement we all had together as well, which is which brings it excitement to talk to each other.
Yeah, it's fun.
Tice, can you hear us again now?
No.
You there, Tice?
We just absolutely battered you, Tice.
So I'm going to have to go here. I can't hear nothing. My connection's so bad.
Oh, mate. Try again if you can. I mean, the other boys as well, obviously, I know you
can't even hear you, sis.
You all keep a close eye on what's going on at Wycombe at the moment. You must have been so impressed with what the team have done this season. They were top of the league for such a long spell going into Christmas. And when the season was ended, I think, 3 points off second or third or whatever it was. It's been an unbelievable season for many, but I'm sure you probably saw the characteristics in Wycombe that they probably had it in them at some point to really spring a surprise this season. Sorry, just to all of you, really, in terms of your impressions of Wycombe so far this season, upsetting the odds and being amongst the promotion frontrunners. Beanie, you start.
I think to me personally, I think it was. Sorry, I've jumped in. I was disappointed the season before that kind of we faded off. Come to Christmas last season, we were within the playoffs. And I was disappointed that we didn't put a stronger challenge in last season. So to do it this season, it's no surprise to me. As I said, the dressing room is fantastic. They've added some great players to the team. Obviously, Christmas period was a little bit hard to take because I think maybe a few more positive results, and kind of this point now, the team would still be top of the league. But to be where they are, I still think they've got a fantastic chance if the season finishes to pull something off like quite remarkable.
Yeah, from when I saw at the start of pre-season, obviously there was not many players through the door, and as that summer kind of progressed, I saw the players and the caliber of players and the quality of players that Gaffer was bringing in. I thought to myself, listen, there's not many teams that are going to have a better individuals in their team, and then obviously knowing the Gaffer and how he's able to gel people together, not just the Gaffer as Dobbo as well. Yeah, I just knew that there was a very good chance that they could do something special this season. So it wasn't too much of a surprise for me when I saw them flying high. Maybe not top. I don't think anyone could have seen that, but definitely being in contention. And fair play to the boys and at the club at the moment. They're taking it onto another level.
Yeah,
and like I say, who knows? The season could end next week, and if it does go to points per game, then who knows? If they're going to send 3 up or whatnot. I just think like the situation is nobody knows what's what, and that's the answer of the year. Nobody knows, so it's just waiting and seeing what comes and seeing what the league decide and the government decide. And like I say, you never know. It could be a championship club soon. Who knows?
Well, we'll have to get you all back to Adams Park together at some point. I'm sure there will be, the 10-year dinners and things like that to celebrate the season, because it was such an unbelievable and enjoyable time for everyone involved. We're coming up to the hour mark. We normally knock it on the head after an hour. I know you guys have got other plans as well. But it's been so good to see you all. Thanks for coming on. Getting his medal back on.
So busy.
I had to do it. Come on, man.
And I hope you've also enjoyed reminiscing on that season as well. What a time that was to be, involved with Wycombe at time in your career. I hope you've enjoyed reminiscing on it, boys.
No, thanks for having us, Matt. Cheers, mate.
That's good.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Mate.
Cheers, Sid.
Thanks very much, and we'll see you again soon. Take care, everyone.
Good to see you, boys.
Good to see you, boys. Take care.
See you soon.
Bye.